Good evening and welcome to the holistic wellness and the connection of mind, body, and spirit so that you can live a life that is whole, empowered, and leading with love. The emphasis behind living well, is to share the importance of being authentic, confident, and compassionate in all aspects of life. This promotes a sense of fulfillment, empowerment, and positive impact on our lives. Hold on just a minute. I have a situation here. So I am going to hopefully correct this and get this situated. I firmly believe that we were created to thrive and not merely survive or exist. If you are watching this video live, go ahead and put L in the comments. If you're watching it on the replay, go ahead and drop an R in the comments. I want you to really engage in the conversation. If at any time something is said that you find valuable, I want you to share the word value. Or if it's something that you can relate to, I want you to put relate in the comments. We are going to have a very candid discussion this month. I had been mentioning that the month of May is the Mental Health Awareness Month, along with a variety of different things that are being brought awareness to. But as I was preparing for this episodes for this month, and I may have a guest, I'm trying to get somebody on here that is really powerful, and she has really overcome a lot of issues in her life, and she has an awesome story to tell. So I'm really working on getting her on the podcast for this month. But I reflected back on my own experience with mental health struggles, and now currently I'm in a season of dealing with mental health of an aging parent. So the information that I share may be a little bit tense, it may be a little deep, it may also set off some triggers. So I just want to give that disclaimer that if it does set off some triggers, please reach out and talk to someone. Take a deep breath, continue to listen to the information, but whatever it happens toward the end, please, 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 if it creates some type of emotions in you that kind of either brings you down or makes you feel a certain way, please, please, please reach out to someone. My desire is to create a safe space where we can talk about the stigma surrounding mental health and to bring awareness about the reality of mental health issues and provide resources. You know, it's nice to talk about, well, what's going on and how do we get there? But then what do we do? How do we reach out? How do we correct or even work on our mental health? Where do we go? So I want to provide some resources and also support systems that are available for that. So we're going to get this party started. Oop. All right. So tonight we are going to have a very, like I said, candid conversation about real talk. Let's talk about mental health. In a world where mental health issues are often misunderstood and stigmatized, it is crucial to have an open, honest, and vulnerable conversation about the topic. It is only by breaking down these barriers and shedding light on the realities of mental health that we can create a more supportive and understanding community. See, the goal is to minimize the stigma surrounding mental health because this not only encourages individuals to seek help when needed, but it also promotes overall well-being and acceptance. It is a time to challenge the misconceptions and stereotypes surrounding mental health and pave the way for a more compassionate and empathetic, inclusive society. So let's go ahead and start on our conversation. So the first thing we want to look at is, what is mental health? Mental health refers to a person's emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Now, this is important because this affects how we think, how we feel, how we act, and it helps determine how we handle stress, how we relate to others, and how we make choices. You see, mental health is important at every age of stage of life, and especially with childhood. If you guys have been watching the news and watching what's going on, the first five of California has really been speaking out about toxic stress in children. That is mental health. Toxic stress in children, if it is not caught at an early age, if it's not recognized, if the awareness is not brought out, if it's not corrected and attention brought to it, then it continues into the adolescent and until the adult age. And then you have adults who have mental health issues who are not able to function and be able to get some type of healing from this. And we want to make sure that we do that. It encompasses, mental health encompasses a wide range of conditions that can affect your mood, your thinking, and your behavior, such as depression or anxiety or schizophrenia, or in the elderly, it could be dementia or Alzheimer's, which is a form of dementia. All of that is connected in the mental health conditions area. It is essential. It is essential. I can't express this enough to really for us to prioritize our mental health and to really seek support when needed to maintain our overall well-being. So now that we know what mental health is, let's look at why is there a stigma around mental health? Why do we shy back? Why do we throw up our hands? Why do we get defensive when we talk about mental health? The first reason why is lack of understanding and education. We do not understand the importance. We do not understand what was all involved in mental health. We don't do the research. We listen to sometimes what people have shared, not exactly the truth. And they create myths around mental health that is not necessarily true. So when you look at mental health, like I said, depression, anxiety disorders, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia. Another one is PTSD. A lot of people associate PTSD with being in the military service. You can have PTSD observing violence, seeing someone get killed, losing a loved one, experiencing any type of abuse can cause post-traumatic stress syndrome. That's what PTSD is. OCD, and also eating disorders. All of these start with what goes on, the thoughts in the mind, the mental health and mental issues that we have. It is really important to have a basic understanding of these conditions in order to reduce the stigma and then provide support to those who may be struggling with these. When we don't educate ourselves, a lot of times, especially if you're giving a certain diagnosis, a mental health diagnosis, a lot of people see it as a sign of weakness or a loss of independence, especially for the aging, when it's not necessarily that. It is that eventually you may need help or you may need medication in order to manage the mental health situation, but it is not a sign of weakness. It is an issue with your brain cells that have impacted your body, and you have no control over it. And so because you have no control over it, when we have no control over it, then this is something that we need to stop singling out people and making them feel as if there is something, a sign of weakness, or, they're losing their independence. And instead, embrace them and encourage them and surround them with that support that they need in order for them to get the help that they need. The next thing is societal norms and cultural beliefs. We don't have that. And the societal norms and cultural beliefs can contribute to the stigma because mental health is often seen as a taboo topic. No one wants to talk about mental health. But the thing is, when you don't talk about it, when you walk in denial, or, okay, I got this diagnosis, but I don't believe it, I'm not accepting this, I'm just going to act as if it doesn't exist. That doesn't help the situation. That doesn't help to get to the root cause of the mental health condition in the first place. And then what is the best solution in order to do that? So because of the societal norms, and the cultural beliefs, we have got to do better because they are contributing to the stigma. And then the next one is discrimination and negative stereotypes also play a role in perpetuating the stigma surrounding mental health. If you look at different ethnicities, they take the perspective of mental health differently, and especially in certain people of color, they don't accept, as there may be something wrong, or there's something wrong with me. It's not that there, well, in actuality, yes, there is something wrong, but it's not something that you caused, or not necessarily something that is your fault. So what we want to do is we want to get rid of the discrimination and the negative stereotypes that also play a role, so that we can create an environment, instead of understanding and empathy, instead of stigmatizing those individuals who are dealing with this. It is really important for us to address these factors in order to break down the barriers and create a more supportive and accepting environment, where those who are struggling with the mental health issues understand that, hey, I'm not alone. This is, other people have gone through this. Other people may even be experiencing this, and they have succeeded. Some people have succeeded. Some people, may not. But the thing is that I'm not alone in this situation. And so, because we all have a story, we all can share, and we can let others know that, hey, you're not alone while you're going through this issue. So we've talked about the why, what mental health is, and then why is there a stigma around mental health. So what we want to do now is talk about, how do we break the stigma? We identified what mental health is. We identified that there was a stigma. Okay, well, how do we break it? Because it needs to be broken. It needs to stop. And the first way we break it is through education. Education, what I mean by education means doing the research. What I mean by education is increasing awareness and understanding of mental health conditions. When I suffered from my depression and anxiety, I didn't even know what it was. Once I realized what it was that I was experiencing, like I would break out in cold sweats, I would eat food that depression, I would use food sometimes as a soothing method because of whatever trauma that I was going through. So that, as part of the eating disorders, the anorexia or bulimia, those are eating disorders that are caused because of different traumas, but it's affecting our mental health. And so we use food as a source of comfort, or we gorge ourselves and then regurgitate the food because we just want to keep skinny. We think that society has led us to believe that you have to be skinny to be healthy, when you can be healthy and be a little bit bigger. And so we want to make sure that, all of these things that we are looking at, all of these mental health conditions and issues that we're dealing with, we want to make sure that we educate ourselves and find out the correct information, not what some people believe, not what I think it is, but what does the study say? What does the research say? Because I was looking at research, especially dealing with the aging, that in the recent studies have shown that the prevalence of dementia is going to increase significantly over the coming years, due to the fact that there's different contributing factors. People are living longer. People have been on medication for a longer amount of time, and it also could be genetic. So there are different things that are happening within the mental health realm that we really need to be aware of, so that we know how better to prepare ourselves, and we're not caught by surprise. We know how to deal with it, and we don't treat someone or ostracize someone because they are dealing with a mental health issue. The second thing that we need to do is have a line of open communication. What this does is it promotes understanding, it promotes empathy and acceptance. When we have increased awareness, we bring support to other people. Like I mentioned, we don't have to feel like we're in this situation alone. I discovered and I went through Celebrate Recovery for me. Some people may require a different therapy session or a different therapy route or anything like that. But my church at the time offered Celebrate Recovery. And I'm telling you, the depression and the anxiety, coupled with increasing my relationship with God, really went away, because Celebrate Recovery provided the tools that I needed in order to work through what was going on in my life, get to the root cause of what was causing me to have the depression, what was causing me to have the anxiety, what was causing me to overeat. Maybe it was the domestic violence. Maybe it was the verbal abuse. Maybe it was the emotional abuse, emotional trauma that I had as a child. All of these things play a part in our mental health. So when we have that open line of communication, and not just open, being vulnerable. Now, I mentioned before, this is about creating a safe space, having an open, honest, and vulnerable conversation. It's time to take the mask off. We have worn, and I'm when I say we, I'm including myself. I wore a mask for years. No one knew that I was suffering from depression. No one knew that I was suffering from anxiety. No one knew that I was using pills and drugs and alcohol in order to compensate for how I was feeling because of the mental issues that was going on in my life. No one knew that because I wore a mask. I covered it up very well. Some people can cover it up very well, some can't. And eventually that mask is going to come off because things are going to show whether you like it or not. Eventually, we all come to that point where it's going to show if something is not going right in our lives. So by having that open line of communication, we can dispel, we can reduce and minimize the stigma of mental health issues. And then the third way is to challenge the stereotypes. Like I said before, and speaking as an African American woman, growing up in our homes, a lot of things that was said in the house, that happened in the house, stayed in the house. I've mentioned this several times, but what that did is it did not create an environment that would promote healing. And that's what we want to do. We want to promote healing. We want to promote an avenue that people really get some healing and dealing with these mental health issues, and hopefully to the point that either minimized or reduced or eradicated. I mean, if you really think about it, if we really take the time to put some effort forward to promote accurate information, to dispel the myths, we open the door for people to really seek help without fear of judgment. That is the greatest thing that keeps people from getting help for their mental health conditions. They're afraid of being judged. They're afraid of what other people are going to think. But when we challenge those stereotypes, when we challenge those misconceptions, we create a supportive environment for those struggling with the mental health issues, and they can then get help and seek the help that they need. It's really important for us to share our personal stories. I mean, like, we all have a story. I have a story, and I did a little video earlier today. I have not shared my full story, and it is going to come out one day. But as I piece it out, but sharing our personal stories let other people know that if you came out of it, then they can come out of it too. It lets them know that they are not in this alone. And as I stated, we were not created for isolation. We were created for community. And when we share our personal stories and our experiences and how we have overcome, then we help break down the barriers and normalize the conversations that need to occur about mental health. So to reiterate, confronting the stigma, not hiding from it, not pushing it under, sweeping it under the rug, not ignoring it, not acting as if, oh, it doesn't exist, it'll go away on its own. Confronting the stigma surrounding mental health is crucial in creating a more inclusive and supportive society for individuals struggling with mental health conditions. When we challenge these stereotypes, we promote open communication, we educate ourselves and find out the truth, dispel the myths and others about mental health. We can break down barriers, and we create a more compassionate and empathetic environment. It's important for us to remember that mental health is just as important as physical health. And everyone deserves to feel understood, loved, and supported. We can only do this by working together. When we work together, we create a world where mental health stigma is a thing of the past. And if you are currently struggling with mental health, I would like to give some references here. I will, if you want the PDF, go ahead and comment me, and I will send that to you. it in a direct message, or I can email it to you. But it's, how to get mental health is mentalhealth.org. They also have Mental Health America, which is mhaamerica.org. I'm sorry, I have my glasses on. Also, for those who are dealing with dementia, or you have a loved one that's dealing with dementia or Alzheimer's, there's www.azl.org, the Alzheimer's Association. And also for therapy, these are licensed therapists, professional therapy through betterhelp.com. As always, the National Suicide, if you are feeling like you are not you don't want to be here, or that you may take your own life, immediately call 911. Emergency services, the situation is urgent, call 911 or go to the nearest hospital. Reach out, maybe call somebody. They have a suicide prevention lifeline, which is dial 988, or they have an 800 number. And they also have a crisis text line where you just text a message. A lot of people, especially our younger age group, they don't pick up the phone and call. They're into the text messaging. So there's even an avenue where you can text a crisis text line to be connected with a trained crisis counselor. These are ways that you can, some resources that are available and that you can reach out to if you need help, or provide it to someone else that does need help. I know this is a very deep and heavy conversation. If you have any questions, or if you just want to have a conversation, I tell everyone I am not a medical doctor. However, having overcome my own mental health issues, in addition to my field of study, which was psychology involving mental health, I can help, or I can at least point you in the right direction. So if that's a conversation you would like to have, also comment me. I will reach out to you. I can send you a Calendly link where we can have a free 30-minute session just to talk, just to find out what's going on and come up with a strategy and a solution that is specific to you. Next week, I want to talk about mind matters, the intricate dance of mental health in relationships. How does mental health impact our relationships and our everyday living? So join me next week. Next week will be on Thursday, back to our regular time, Thursday at 5:30 p.m. And so until next week, never forget, you are important, you are valuable, and you are needed. God bless you and have a great rest of your week. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.